one of the things that I left Coach Summerall's house is that he's authentic, but he's also very cognizant of, he told us the story. He goes, listen, I knew what we were walking into. I knew I was going to be a group of 5 coach from Louisiana replacing a group of 5 coach from Louisiana. And he goes, I can't help that. The only thing I can help is give everything to kick some ass for the Florida Gators. And you can't help but think that the word culture right now is tough to come across in the transfer portal and NIL world. But damn if I don't think he's going to build a culture down there in Gainesville.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Hello and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Great show today. Peter Burns is going to join us. We'll talk to him about a lot of things. I think he had a sit down with Summerall, either not yesterday, maybe the day before, and he's been doing a lot of golf. He's at the Regions tournament out there in Birmingham, and of course he did the SEC. If you watch that, the SEC tournament. So we'll talk to him about a lot of things, including football and playoffs and stuff like that. I always love talking to Peter. We'll do a yes, no, way, or maybe with him. Coach Spurrier is coming on Monday. I mean, I know he's been out a couple of weeks, but he had stuff to do, and that's fine. But he'll be back on Monday. And on next Thursday, Carlos Alvarez. Carlos has been on our show before, but, we'll talk to him about different things. And I love to talk to Carlos. I could talk to Carlos forever. And he's a great dude. All right, let's proceed to our Money Medals. Starting 5, brought to you by Money Medals, the place to go if you need coins, rounds, or bars. Only place to go. Let's go to number 1. To me, the biggest story since our last show is the softball and what they did, winning that game 4-3. It was one of those games where you're into every pitch, and if you're into softball, you really were into it, and I'm into softball. Look, this is the best team we have on campus right now. I mean, I hate to say it. Well, you could say basketball is the best team that will eventually be all on campus. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But to win that game 4-3, go down 2-0, and you're like, oh boy, this is just like the game in Tallahassee. And it was a huge win for them. Florida, by the way, Gila, and I'll get her name, Desiderio, she had that big hit. And when she came up, I go, every time she comes up, it feels like she gets a good swing. So let's, just bang one up the middle. Boom. That's what she did. And Florida ended up winning the game. Keegan Rothrock came in, did a great job of pitching as well. That was a huge win. Now, guess who the number 1 team in the country is in RPI? Your Florida Gators. So that's how big that win was, to get a win, even though it was a home win over a team like Florida State. If you look at the numbers, I did look at them. I mean, obviously Florida's 46-7. But I was looking at it. 27 wins have been against top 1 and 2, quad 1 and 2 RPI teams. So that's good. I mean, that's why they're ranked number 1. They played a great schedule and they've won a lot of games, and that's good for them. We appreciate them so much. And of course, they have one more series left at Georgia. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But now the number 1 team in RPI, your Florida Gators. All right, and we usually don't do play of the weekend on Thursday, but I felt like we needed to do a Campus USA play of the weekend, brought to you by our friends at Campus USA. And here it is. And if you didn't see this catch that Townsend Thomas made to win the game, to end the game, I mean, they had first and second, 2 outs. And she hits that ball, and you're like holding your breath, and what a catch. They had to review it, and then they had to celebrate again. And I don't think people obviously she's celebrating, but they didn't really celebrate. They were like, oh, great. Oh, did she really catch it? I'm not sure. It's going to be reviewed. This is the world we live in today. It used to be they called her out. That's all that matters. And she did catch it, and it was a good review, and they got it right. So that was a huge win for softball. And Tim Walton doing a hell of a job over there right now, 46-7. And big weekend series, and then the SEC tournament, and then it gets serious to me. I mean, Florida's going to be the host, and they're going to host super regionals. So you're at home. That's a good way to get to Oklahoma City. We all know that. And you've got a stud pitcher. You need a second pitcher, and right now that still hasn't come through for them, but we'll see. All right, that's softball. Let's get to number 2 on our MoneyMetals.com starting 5, and that would be what is going on with basketball now. It's just so funny how things happen 5 minutes after we tape our show on Mondays, but it does happen. But so sometimes I repeat things that I already have talked about. But I know this one was new, and what they added more to the roster, Arturas Budajeras. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name right. Eventually I will. It took me a while to get hand locked in right. This is a big who can shoot, 6'10", good player. They're not done though. They're about to announce another guy that's coming from overseas, and that's all I know about it. It's going to be another player from overseas, so that's pretty cool. It is going to be a stacked roster. It'll be interesting to see how Todd handles that, because he's going to have a lot of quality players, and I think Budajeras will be a guy who is kind of a hand locked in type from last year, where he'll play minutes, and he'll give you some threes that hand locked and couldn't give you. And so it's almost like, and not take anything away from Micah Cora, but it's almost like they have upgraded their roster in a lot of ways. Well, you upgrade when you bring back Condon because he's going to be a better player, you would assume. Thomas Houck is going to be a better player. Boogie Fland, you hope, is going to be a better player. He was a good player this year. And all the other guys are going to be better players that you brought back. And then you added all these pieces. And Denzel Aberdeen, after assuming they can get him, and Chinny, I don't know how you only get 5 on the court. But it's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, the news came in that just now that Olivier Roy is transferring to UC Irvine. Boy, I am so happy for him because that's Division I. It's still basketball, It's not, you're washing your own clothes or something, anything like that. I'm just happy he's able to do that and go there. So we'll see what happens with. Still, there's a couple of issues, Chinny. Everybody says he's coming back, but who knows? Chinyelu, and then with Denzel Aberdeen having to get his waiver, which everybody common sense says he should get it, but we'll see. But boy, what a roster they're going to have, and I'm just going to be interested to see how they handle it. Let us move to number 3 on our MoneyMetals.com starting 5, and that is that the NCAA appears to be heading towards expansion in the college basketball playoff. To 76. May is when they're going to have the last meeting that's going to confirm that, but it sounds like it's a done deal. Now, the reason they're doing it is not so much money, because you have to understand, and this is where I think people have a hard time even explaining it, but I've tried to read up on it. But the bottom line is, the CBS and all the networks they have, they don't want to give them that much more money. They only have so much money. And then you're dividing it more. So what are the shares going to be worth? That's how it all comes down. You get a share or whatever they want to call it, but a unit is actually what they call it. Not the big unit, but the unit. And you get so many as to how many teams you have in the tournament and how many games they advance. And that's where you get a ton of money. It is a huge thing for all the conferences. The conferences just want more access. The big conferences say we want more of our teams in. We don't want them to get left out. I'm not sure I understand a lot of this. I don't know that I want to see 76 or a 12-team play-in. I'm one of those guys. I was okay with 64. Now, if it gets Florida into a tournament 5 years from now, where they maybe have a lull, I think they're going to make the tournament this year. Okay, so maybe I'll say, I'm glad they expanded the tournament, but it's not for me. But I guess they have their reasons for doing it. There's a good story on CBS Sports by Matt Norlander, and he's a really good basketball writer, really knows the game. So go read that, and maybe you can get a little better explanation than I've given you. But it's not so much a power move. A money move. It's a power move by the power conferences, is kind of what his conclusion was. All right, let's get to number 4 on our moneymetals.com starting 5, and that is that Gator baseball. No midweek games, so they didn't lose it. We know that. I was looking at some stuff today. Okay, so Oklahoma right now is number 18 in RPI. Florida's number 14. So obviously, any win you get is a quad 1 win. And Florida leads the country in quad 1 wins. They also lead the country in disappointing losses. But they are 19 and 12 at home. I got to look up and see if they've ever lost like 15 games at home, which could happen. But it's been a weird year, a weird team. I have my theories on why it's not played well or played. You can't say it hadn't played well. It's played well. They're still at an RPI, like I said, number 14 in the country. That would mean you probably would host. You need to win some games here. This is the stretch where let's see what you got. All right, we know what you got with Aiden King. That's about it. That's what we know you have. Everybody else seems to be day to day, game to game. And let's see what you got now down the stretch. You got what? You got Oklahoma this weekend. Then you go to, or you have Kentucky, and then you go to LSU, I think is the way it ends up. And you have a North Florida game in there. Let's see what you can do. Get up there. And I don't think you're going to get into the second tier where you would host a super regional, but make sure you're hosting a regional and let's go. Come on. I'm giving you the pep talk of all time. You're 10 and 4 on the road too, by the way, which is not bad at all. Go out there. When I say on the road, I'm talking about everything with that neutral sites and everything. There's 1-0 in neutral sites, but 10 and 4 away from home. Go out there and beat them out there in Norman. Norman is a lovely place. All right, let's get to number 5 on our moneymetals.com starting 5, and that is the curious case of Brendan Sorsby. Of course, I know that when he got into the transfer portal, I was like, oh man, I'd love for Florida to get him. I like that guy as a player. Well, what I didn't know is he is a player. Like so many young people today, got addicted to gambling on his phone. At one point was betting on balls and strikes in a Cincinnati Reds game. He wasn't betting on his team. He wasn't betting against his team. He didn't have inside knowledge. He was just betting, and he was excessive. And somebody wrote that he had 10,000 bets. This is a problem we're going to have. And we've talked about this before, but it is a problem. I don't think Brendan Sorsby ever plays college football again. But think about all the teams that he's hurt here. Cincinnati, obviously, by leaving. I remember they sued him for $1 million buyout. I don't know where that stands. Texas Tech now is like, who's supposed to play quarterback for us? I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, but that's gonna be interesting. And all the people and all the just the game itself. The NCAA is not going to let this kid play anymore. When you look at all the stories, they're not going to let him play anymore. So he may even get to the supplemental draft. I don't know that he's that good. You might want to take a flyer on him as a 6th-round pick or something like that. I could see that happening. There's a lot of people that are saying that Cincinnati knew, and Cincinnati saying we had no idea, and that could be a problem if Cincinnati did know, where they could have punishments come down from the NCAA. This is going to be a long investigation, but he checked into a gambling addiction program. Good for him. He's obviously got an issue. $10,000 in bets is not good. He was going to get $5 million at Texas Tech. Now the question comes, what happens there? There's a lot of stories and a lot of rumors out there, so I'm just going to leave everything right there and take a break. That's probably the best way to do it. I know the garbage guys that are coming to pick up our 15 bags of leaves that we have out there, which they can take a break right now. Thanks to Jack for getting that done. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back with Peter Burns from the SEC Network and ABC and ESPN and everything else he does here on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Give me 60 seconds and I'll show you why you should be buying silver and how to get started. Recent price spikes in groceries, healthcare, gasoline, steel, and lumber tell the story of inflation, as do raging bull markets in equities and housing. As the reality of all this inflation sinks in, investors will be acting quickly to diversify and protect themselves, their families, and their assets. That's why we're offering our Silver Starter Kit to help you get started in holding tangible wealth. This mix of our most recommended forms of silver includes 9 silver coins, totaling 4 troy ounces of fine silver. These pure silver coins have a low bid-ask spread, the difference between the price you pay to buy and the price you receive to sell. Low transaction costs are one reason Investopedia calls Money Metals the best dealer in America. Don't waste any more time. Start protecting your savings today with physical precious metals at moneymetals.com/go.
Hey, I'm Pat Dooley, and I'm using a sterile compounded medication prescribed through BMI TeleMed. The medication contains the same active pharmaceutical ingredient as FDA-approved Wegovy, but is compounded with vitamin B6 to help with nausea, with some patients experience to some degree. My prescription comes from a licensed sterile compounding pharmacy, which is regulated by the Florida Department of Health and Board of Pharmacy. Compounded medications like mine are an alternative option when manufactured brands are in shortage or unavailable for many patients through their healthcare plans. Look, it worked for me once. I'm trying it again.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's always great when we bring this guy on because he knows everything about everything. That's my theory. Peter Burns from the SEC Network and ESPN. He's just everywhere, man. I mean, you were at 2 of my favorite places. You were up there covering the SEC golf, and then you were covering the regions out there in Birmingham.
I'm going to put that on my resume now that says I know everything about everything. And just says Pat Dooley, kind of like the inside of a book jacket. So, yeah, man, it's been a whirlwind. I mean, going back to a week and a half ago, I was down at the Pelican for the Women's Golf Championship, which was awesome. Then we go straight to Sea Island and saw J.C. Deacon and the Florida Gators battle Ole Miss down there, and that was a blast. And then went over there and down to Gainesville to go visit with Coach Sumrall for a new event that we're going to be doing here on the SEC Network, and then straight to Birmingham to watch a bunch of bad SEC coaches, or bad golf swings from SEC coaches, I should say. So it's been a whirlwind, Pat.
Yeah, there was somebody that put up, they said, which coach has the best swing? And my answer was none.
None. None.
Tuberville
gets the club in a good position, but and then Kirby's got a decent move at it. Pete Golden's not too bad. Nate Oates is, and I love Nate, but Nate's swing makes me want to throw up every time I see it. And the fact, Pat, that he has a hole-in-one already, the first month that he decided that he was going to learn how to play golf, he made a hole-in-one, and I'm still chasing my first one after 40 years. It still disgusts me.
My dad died at 93, never made one, and it was something it bothered him. I'm lucky.
My dad made his first one after playing for 50 plus years with me. And Pat, I think I was more excited to see my dad get one because of his age than I was if I would have gotten one myself.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. Hey, let's talk about John Sumrall. I mean, you had a meeting with him for the new feature you guys are doing, and that's great stuff. And he has been very accessible right now. I hope this continues. I hope he's going to be this way for the rest of his career. But I'm sure when you left that meeting with him, you were ready to go put a Gator helmet on, weren't
I
you?
mean, it pains me as a kid that's born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as a diehard LSU fan, that I'm sitting there in his house, in his living room. We're having this conversation, and I'm like, damn, if that's not a good dude. And you get fired up for it. And Pat, you've done enough of these things. I've done enough of these things, and we're blessed to talk to these coaches, and you kind of know which ones are kind of turning it on, and as soon as the camera's off, then they kind of go on to the next one. Like, they punch the clock
Right.
to do
Sure.
this interview. And I mean, again, we set up our camera crew there at the house, the Summerall's house. And even my crew has said, dude, this guy's awesome. Like, he's been chatting. Like, we couldn't even set up the lights and the cameras in time because he just wanted to talk about bourbon for 20 minutes and then come, hey, check this out, and just so engaging. And then his wife Jenny was there, and we got a chance to meet with her, and she's fantastic. And again, I think one of the things that I left Coach Summerall's house is that he's authentic, but he's also very cognizant of, I mean, he told us the story. He goes, listen, I knew what we were walking into. I knew I was going to be a group of five coach from Louisiana, replacing a group of five coach from Louisiana. And he goes, I can't help that. The only thing I can help is give everything to kick some ass for the Florida Gators. And you can't help but think that the word culture right now is tough to come across in the transfer portal and NIL world. But damn if I don't think he's going to build a culture down there in Gainesville.
Well, and I think that's what it comes down to. We've seen Todd Golden build one, and,
Yep.
here in Gainesville. That's why Thomas Houck and Alex Condon are coming back, and Chinyalu probably coming back, and Denzel Aberdeen coming back, which is hilarious in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's what you've got to get to a point where these guys want to come play for you. And I think we're seeing it in recruiting already with they're trying to build the trenches and
Yeah.
brought in a couple of big linemen already that are coming.
Yeah, and I think I think there's going to be, listen, it's the same thing that whenever me and Dorian were talking about this as we left Summerall's house, there was conversations that we had, whatever, 4 years ago when Brian Kelly was hired and Billy Napier were hired, that me and Dorian were going to look at each other each week and go, all right, who's winning this race? Well, LSU was lapping the field, and then all of a sudden they ended up at the same spot, looking for a brand new coach in the same year. And so I think that Lane and John are so different in really what kind of athlete that they're going to get, And when I say that, it's not necessarily physical attributes, but like, what are they looking for? They're looking for the flash and to be a part of the brand and all of this. And there's a lot of bright lights around LSU, or you're looking to play football and love the school. And I think, I think John's going to build that there. And yeah, it may not look as great on recruiting rankings, but you know how that is, man. We how many recruits have we seen? Remember when Jimbo Fisher was hell bent on having the number one recruiting class and to make sure he got over Saban?
Got it, yeah.
He got it, and he brought in a bunch of mercenaries that didn't even give a damn about A&M football. It was just, all right, where kind of, it wasn't the right fit. And so I think for Summerall, he's going to have a fit of a guy that likes physicality, that likes football, that likes him. And that's, hey, I would rather have a 3.5-star athlete that loves where he's playing, willing to get coached up and bust his ass, than a 4-star athlete that's just, hey, I'm here because it looks really fun to be here right now.
No, I think you hit it right on the head. You've got to want to be here. You've got to love the school you're at, and then you've got to want to be coached. You've got to have both those things. You can't just being at the school and getting your NIL money and having free food and all that and getting free drinks when you go out. That's not enough. You've got to want to be coached. And I just think there have been a lot of guys who come in through here and either didn't get the coaching or didn't want to be coached, and that's why Florida's in this mess, which I cannot believe that in their last 66 games, they're 29-37. Think about that.
There's no way coming off of the heels of what Spurrier built in Gainesville that you would have ever done that math and go, we're going to have these days. And you're like, the hell we will. You're like, no, it doesn't happen. But that just goes to show you how things can erode bit by bit, decision by decision. And now the question is, how do you build it up? And, I heard Alex Golish yesterday on our show from the golf tournament. He brought up a really good point. We were talking about Alabama and Auburn and Florida and LSU, all these different things. And he brought up a really interesting point. Hey, my Auburn team has never had a problem with Alabama. And what he meant by that was like the team that he's about to recruit or has now hasn't played Alabama, not his team. And I think about, Kurt Signetti, his Indiana teams had never had success, but those weren't his Indiana teams, and now his teams have had success. So, can Summerall build that going into a conference with a lot of talent and a 9-game schedule or in league schedule? It's going to be tough, but I also think he's fully aware of the challenges ahead of him.
Yeah, I did something the other day for a Patreon thing I write for about the 5 best quarterbacks Florida will face, and it was hard to pick 5 because there were about 9.
Yep.
I mean, because it's Chambliss, it's Arch Manning, it's Lenore Sellers, there are great quarterbacks in this league. I think this could be the year that I think everybody thought last year was going to be, which turned out to be the Klubnik,
Nussmeier.
I'm trying to think of who else. DJ Lagway.
Lagway, yeah.
That just didn't live up to their potential. Or Garrett Nussmeier being,
And sometimes it's because they whiffed on other positions in the transfer portal. Sometimes it's coordinators not knowing what talent they have. Sometimes it's injuries. So it's a bevy of different things. But that's, but that was just top to bottom in the league. I mean, that's the reason why the Big Ten had more first-round draft picks, is that there was a lot of talent in the SEC, but not a lot of elite talent. I mean, there was only I think we were all shocked when Ty Simpson went 13th in the draft. But outside of that, there's going to be a bunch of really capable quarterbacks next year, and that's what drives it all right now. Is that you got to have good quarterback play in Gainesville, in Baton Rouge, all of these places where they have a brand new head coach. That's going to be the big factor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And certainly you got to be coached. You got to get coached up, and you got to be willing to be coached. And not everybody wants to be coached. All right, let's talk about the college football playoff, and why do you think the SEC and the Big Ten cannot agree on this? And just tell us which one it is. 16, 24, I don't care. Just tell us what it is.
I think it's a dance. I think it's a negotiation. I think it's also part of, there's not a rush right now to figure it out. We like it from a media standpoint because we're like, oh, this is a storyline. But truth be told, I think it's because you have two of the thought leaders that agree on a whole heck of a lot of stuff with Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey. I think they look at it, Pat, through different prisms right now. I think Tony Petitti looks at it, let's forget everything that's happened in the world of college football, and let's look at what we're spinning forward, okay? And if that's the case, do we need a championship game? Do we have maybe a championship weekend? Do we have 24 teams? What does that look like for dollars and cents? And I think Sankey, because he's a little bit more of a purist, I think he looks at it and wait a minute, let's decide a champion on the field. Let's have an SEC championship game because we've always had that. And by the way, they make a couple of dollars doing it, of course. But also, I think they recognize that the SEC football regular season is special. It's the most special thing that we have in all of sports. The NFL, the Ravens lose to the Steelers in week 5, doesn't matter. You'll get them maybe in week 13, okay? Even the Big Ten, not everybody lives, dies, prays, everything, drinks on one regular season game in week 6, and so for the SEC, the regular season is one of the last true things that we have that's kind of pure, that everyone cares about, that you want to watch. And once you start going to 24 teams, now it's more of an NFL schedule. Now it's, hey, maybe if you're 8-4, you might make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I get it. The schools want it because it might be a little bit more money. The coaches damn sure want it because it's more job security for their $8 million a year jobs. But let's be honest, I think it robs us as fans of what we love, which is the regular season and caring about every single game. Like I was wrong when it moved to 12, Pat, because I thought it would erode how special the regular season games were. I think it made overall college football better because more teams still had a chance in late October, early November, and you got more of a bigger playing field. But I think there is a point where more is less, and I think that you can erode. I think 24 is just too much. I worry about 16, frankly. That's why I'm not in a rush to go to 16. Really, like let's take a beat. There's so many changes right now, Pat. Like let's keep it 12 for a couple of years. Let's see how it plays out, and then if you want to change it, then maybe go to 16. And then after a couple of years, then you want to change it. Maybe we'll look at 24. But the idea of just like snapping our fingers and going to 24, it just seems asinine.
Well, and we've seen this now. We're seeing this happen in basketball where they're going to 76 and they're trying to figure out the logistics where they'll play the other games, and that's going to cost money. And they're saying we're not going to make that much more money, but this is a power move by the SEC and the Big Ten to say we want more teams in, and the more teams we get in, the happier we are.
Yeah, and again, I struggle with a little bit of that because listen, Auburn was great. I mean, Auburn goes out there and goes on their run of the NIT. But guess what? I also saw them lay an egg at home against an Ole Miss squad. Well, if they're going to get into the tournament when you could do that, you're going to lose the sanctity of the regular season. They shouldn't have lost that game to Ole Miss. They shouldn't have been in the NCAA tournament. You want to get better? Coach your guys better. Play better for those guys. And that's not a knock on Stephen Pearl as he's finding his way because good teams lose games as well. But there should be a cost for losing those games. I mean, I don't want to have a participatory ribbon for everybody of, hey, everybody gets in and gets a juice box. Like, it should be hard to make the playoffs.
I'm
getting old, Pat. That's what I'm an old, angry man just screaming at the clouds going, damn you, young people in all your extended playoff fields.
We don't need any money in this game.
I mean, unless they're going to pay me a lot more to do the games. Then
that's another thing. But that's kind of the way I am. I always tell people from a selfish standpoint, if I get to watch more games, whether it's football or basketball, I'm in favor of 100 teams getting in. But I also have to look at it because somebody's got to take care of the game.
Yep.
The sport, whether it's football or basketball, somebody's got to step up and take care of it. And I feel like nobody's doing that right now.
Well, I mean, again, you can have a whole bigger picture conversation on just, everything, right? I mean, like, the NBA product would be infinitely better if they played 62 games and there were 24 teams, okay? I mean, because you wouldn't have back-to-backs, you would have star power on every single city, but they wouldn't make nearly as much money. And so there is a fine line of that. And listen, once you get into capitalism, then it's like, where is going to be the line? Like, no matter what it is, the line is always going to get higher and higher and higher, and you want more and more money. I mean, that's the idea of it. So, again, I have no problem with us getting there. I do have a problem with us rushing to get there. Take your time, let it play out, especially with so many moving parts in college athletics. I mean, right now we're trying to get the bathtub water right, but we keep turning each knob all the way instead of just kind of diving into it.
Do you get the commissioner was out there in Birmingham. Do you get the impression that he's frustrated by this, or is just saying, hey, look, we are what we are and we're going to do what we do and we're looking out for us?
I think he's frustrated at the idea that with every door they open, 3 other issues pop up, and it's just one of those, like a whack-a-mole thing. As soon as you hit it, 3 others pop up, and you're like, well, okay, and because again,
I'm not good at whack-a-mole, by the way. Just
it's a tough one. It's a tough game, but for him, he's trying to balance how do you keep the sanctity of, and because listen, I'll just say this. If Sankey was just as bloodthirsty of success for the SEC as the whole national media makes him out, he right now would tell everybody to go the blank home. It's going to be him and the Big Ten, and they'll divide the billions together, and everybody else can get the hell out. He could.
Oh, yeah. But
his background is playing in Division III and being a commissioner in the Southland Conference and knowing D2 and rising through the ranks and understanding that he's a steward of college athletics. And right now, if you're the Big 10 or you're the Big 12 or you're any of these commissioners that haven't been grown up in college athletics, but they come up from a business aspect, their idea is to maximize the business of the sport, not be a steward for the history of the sport. And again, everyone, it's like when baseball fans lose their mind at Jay Johnson for a bad season this year or losing a midweek game. Let's see the bigger picture here. He's won 2 of the last 3 championships. Like, he's a little bit of a purist, and that's how I feel about Sankey.
Well, yeah, that's everybody's got to deal with that. Peter Burns coming to us, of course, on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. It is time for us to play the game we love to play. Yes, no way, or maybe with Peter Burns. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. If you go in there and say you listen to Peter Burns on the podcast, you get free French fries with your order. Yes, no way, or maybe. All right, 3 questions for you there, Peter. Number 1, you are okay with LSU hiring Will Wade?
Maybe. I'm glad there's a maybe there because I understand the realistic part of it right now is the fact of like boosters had just said, hey, I don't know if we have a lot of NIL money for Matt McMahon anymore, who was a good coach, had to deal with a bunch of injuries on his team. But frankly, in that world, you got to have your boosters put up some money and to get excited about it. So what I would like to see is, I think Will was a great coach at LSU and coming up, and I'm not sure how much he was playing by every NCAA bylaw and guideline back in the day. Now that it's available for everybody to play on the same rules, does he still cut through? I hope he does. And if no other reason, people are fired up about LSU basketball. So, that's why I lean towards it'd be nice to see them win again.
That's the hard part with the boosters because I know that Lane Kiffin wants a lot of money, and I know that Kim Mulkey wants a lot of money, and I know
Jay Johnson wants a bunch of money. No different than Sully wants a bunch of money right now. Same J.C. Deacon, golf wants more money. So everybody's got their handout right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 2 on Yes, No, Where, maybe with the great Peter Burns. You have seen Chris Doering without his shirt more than a dozen times.
Yes, I have. It pains me to say that I probably every time I do that and hang out with Doering, I'm like, I probably need to get in better shape. Like I just need to eat healthier, and it upsets me. But yeah, Doering,
he loves to take it off though.
And rightfully, I would too if I was 63 years old, however he is right now, and he looks chiseled. So he's in good shape. I joke though, but he's been such a good teammate, literally my best friend. And it's been really fun to go and watch this hiring of Summerall. And listen, I liked Billy, he liked Billy, we all liked Billy. We wanted Billy to succeed, but just to see kind of the gleam in his eye when you hear a football, guy in Summerall and the way that he motivates, I could tell Doering was ready to go suited up for him right now. So he
might be able to. Hey, he only played 4 years, so
that's what we were joking around. I was like, "Could you play right now?" He goes, "I could probably give you a quarter." And he goes, "But the first time I get hit, I don't know if I'm getting back up right now." He's like, I still got good hands. I can still probably be a little bit of a red zone deal, but if I get hit,
he'd compete. He would compete.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Question about that. He wants. I don't know if you know this story, but I'm covering this game he's playing in, like an exhibition game, basketball, and he says, "Hey." So Kerwin Bell comes over and he goes, "Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you walk like you're leaving, and we'll throw you the ball and you'll shoot it, make a 3-pointer, and that'll be really cool." So I said, "All right, sure." So I walk out like I'm leaving. They throw me the ball. I go shoot it. Doering comes out of nowhere and swats it into the stands. And I'm like, "Come on, man! It's a charity game."
It doesn't matter, man. Like when you compete, and we've had those moments in different facets of our lives over the last decade that we've known each other. And at the end of it, we have this moment of like, "Do you realize what you did?" And he goes, "No, I don't." Like sorry, dude, I was competitive. Like, be better. I'm like, okay, all right then.
All right, finally, number 3 on Yes, No, Where, maybe with Peter Burns. You have played golf with Steve Spurrier.
I have, yeah. In fact, back when he was at South Carolina, and kind of, I'll quickly try to tell the story, is that him and he had that tournament every year for the media. So this was the first year we had the SEC network. And the day before, or I guess that morning of the tournament, I was driving down and he found out that I played college golf. So he kicked whoever his teammate was off the team and put me on his team. Now, thank God, Pat, I was playing really good golf at the time.
I was going to say, you better show up then.
I showed up and I'm thinking, man, me and coach are going to have this new, I mean, this is going to be my best friend, you know, he's going to tell all these stories and stuff. And you know how it is with coach. Like we got in the car. Well, oh, okay. Peter, let's go. And I mean, we hardly talked. All we did was play golf as quick as humanly possible. And I'll never forget, I was playing pretty good. I was like 5 under through 16 or so on my own ball. I was playing solid. It was a scramble. We get up on 17, and I rope hook one left out of bounds. And he hadn't really said good shot or anything to me, you know, because he likes to play fast or whatever. And he turns to the rest of our group, Pat, I swear to God, and he goes, well, Peter let us down. That's okay. We'll try to figure it out from here, you know. The only words he said to me are the one when I duck hooked it. You know, it's kind of like, well, not my fault for thinking you're going to hit that shot. You know, my fault for putting you on my team type stuff.
That's
you know?
right. No, that's the line. Is that, it's not your fault. My fault for picking you.
But we won, and I vividly remember the next day media availability at spring practice. Someone asked him about winning the tournament and beating his son, Spurrier Jr., and he goes, well, had that SEC network guy, Peter Burns. Yep, pretty good. We won. That's all that mattered. And I was like, that's all I needed. Coach Spurrier happy with me.
If you don't have a Coach Spurrier golf story, you've never played golf. That's the bottom line.
That's a fair point.
Peter, it's always great talking to you, buddy, and I appreciate you. I mean, this is a guy who just landed up there in Charlotte, so to come in here and do that, I appreciate it.
Anytime for you, bud. Going to be a fun off season. You know, hopefully that we get the Gators staying hot in softball and baseball, and then, you know, Deacon and that crew and women's golf as well to the Nationals. That should be fun. And then, you know, before we know it, we'll be in Tampa for media days.
I can't wait. I'm actually going to go, even though, you know, I mean, they've told me you can come. We'd love to have you at media days. So I think I'm going to go.
It's 6 new coaches. I mean, it's going to be fireworks. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, me too. Well, all right. We'll appreciate Peter Burns. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
By now, you heard about the Florida Legends Experience and Gala, featuring Gator Heisman greats Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, and Steve Spurrier, all in one place at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Imagine catching a pass or taking a handoff from a Heisman winner, all while supporting Isaiah 117 to help provide safe, loving homes for children in need. Then enjoy an unforgettable evening at the Gala, filled with great food and lasting memories. Don't miss this historic event. Find out how you and your business can get involved at fllegends.com. That's fllegends.com.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate everybody for watching. Appreciate everybody for being part of our podcast. We love doing it, and we love being part of it. We do have a advertiser who is dropping off. He's been with us a long time, but he's dropping off for a while, and we are happy to open it up for somebody. You know how to get a hold of me, patrickdooley54@gmail.com, and we will give you an opportunity to be part of this, because we were filled up, but now we got an opening again. So, and that, you know how it is. We kind of it comes and goes, but we love everybody who ever has advertised with us, and appreciate them and all the people that have stayed with us, especially our good friends at Titan MRI and Imaging and Meldon Law. All right, let us move to another guy who's been with us since the beginning, and that is Adams Ribco. Adams Ribco, the place to go for all of your great barbecue needs, and of course, Nana's Nuggets on Fridays. Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. And the Gator of the Week this week, I'm going to give it to, and there's a lot of people to choose from, I'm going to give it to Caitlin Davies. Caitlin Davies plays lacrosse at Florida. I know a lot of people aren't excited about lacrosse, but I mean, these are great athletes over there. But anyway, she's a senior midfielder. She was named the midfielder of the year by the Big 12 for the second year in a row. That's pretty cool, man. Now, there were a lot of people that got a lot of awards, and I want to give them all credit. I don't want to name them all, but I just had to pick one. And for her to get midfielder of the year for 2 years in a row, I haven't mentioned her very much. We talk about some of the other players, but she is our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, and she's got a big weekend coming up. We'll talk about that as well. Let us move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick, brought to you by our friends at Leonardo's of Millhopper. Place to go to get a dual sandwich. All right, we're close to getting ready to pull, and we're going to give you 3 more chances to qualify. We kind of did this last weekend. We're going to do it again. This is Saturday. Pick the Derby winner. Most of you won't get it right, okay? Maybe none of you will get it right. Renegade is the favorite, I'll tell you that, and he's on the inside rail, so I don't know that I'd pick him. But, do a little research. Do some work. The Saturday baseball game and the Saturday softball game. Baseball at Oklahoma, softball at Georgia. That wraps up that series, by the way. So, by the way, 6-1 is the horse I'm picking. Further Ado, just so you know. I just like the name, Further Ado. And without further ado, let's make a pick here. Appreciate Kyle over at Leo's. We'll get our pick maybe next week. Yeah, we may do one next week. I just mailed one out to a book and $25 at Leonardo's to our winner from last week. I think it was Adam. Yeah, so we'll get another one coming up. We like to give away a lot of stuff. So anyway, you can qualify on all 3 of those. All right, let's get to this, that, and the other.
What do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other is brought to you by our good friends at Notary Joe's. He does a great job of coming to your house. Joseph Newton does. 863-990-4884. The number to call if you want to go, and if you want to get something notarized, just give him a call. He'll come right there to your house. It's brought to you by Dar Shakow Insurance. Just saw John Dar Jr. and John Dar Sr. the other night. We were out for dinner, and we saw them and talked to them for a while. We appreciate their sponsorship, all your home, auto, commercial, and life needs. And by the Atlanta Hustle, the Southeast Ultimate Frisbee women's team. They do a great job, and men's team. They do a great job. The Atlanta Hustle, brought to you by Matt Lerner, Lerner Law, where you want to go to get your closings done. All right, let's get to this and the other. This is, I did celebrate this a couple of weeks ago. I believe we remember that it looked like the LIV tour, Live Tour, was gone, and everybody was saying it's gone. That is that they came back, and next thing you know, people are taking shots at all the people who said it was gone. It's here. We're fine. We're at least doing the end of the year, but we're going to go, and we're planning on going forward. You guys are fast typers. That's all. I think it was fair to use that. And the other is that apparently they are out, but I still don't know. I saw 2 stories. One said they're done. They're closing up shop. The other one said they're just going to go to the end of the year, and that's the end. Whatever it is, I'm not going to watch it no matter what, because it is a clown show. I I'm not a fan of the Live Tour. I just don't think it's not for me. And that's the bottom line. But it doesn't mean it's not for, look, UFC is not for me. It is for a lot of people. Doesn't mean, softball is for me. Women's softball. It isn't for a lot of people. I get it. We can all have our different interests. We don't have to fight about it. Anyway, a lot of the live golfers are making contact with the tour, PGA Tour, saying, well, we need to come back, like so many have. It's obviously something that is it's eventually, whatever happens, it's eventually going to leak into being back to one tour, and that'll be great. Well, it's not really one tour. You still get the DP tour. Anyway, that's this, that, and the other. Brought to you by Notary Joe's, by Darshackow Insurance, and, of course, by the Atlanta Hustle. Let's move along to our Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week. Brought to you by Los Landeros Tequila, my favorite tequila, and Urban Meyer's, as smooth as an Urban Meyer's special teams play. And our Smooth Move of the Week belongs to Phil Troutline, because Phil Troutline is kicking butt out there in the recruiting trail. Got another one, and also to John Sumrall, because these guys are understanding that you can't win without elite guys in the trench. That's the bottom line. You got to have a quarterback. You need everything. But if you don't have the trenches, it don't matter. That's my worry about this year's team more than anything, is that they're not going to be big and strong enough and be able to block people enough that Florida can be an elite team. I don't think they can be. They've got elite skill players. They got some elite defensive players, but I don't know if they have enough. Anyway, they recognize that. And when they do stuff like this, and again, yes, this week, they got the number one center in the country in Peyton Miller to go along with, obviously, the other linemen that they've gotten both offensively and defensively. They're doing such a great job of the recruiting tail. Don't forget that Summerall, on that press conference he gave, I think it was about 2 weeks ago maybe, was talking about, hey, look, we're going to win. We're going to win big. We're going to wake up the beast and kill it in recruiting, and we're going to bring in players, the kind of players, especially on the offensive line and defensive line, that are going to make Florida great again. It sounds like a great plan. You have to execute it, and that's what Phil Troutline's doing. He's getting these guys to come. Look, and a lot of credit has to go to the collective, too. Now I'm blanking on the name of it. Gators Victorious. God, you see, this is what happens. I can remember what it used to be called. Anyway, but now my short-term memory is not great. Anyway, congratulations to Phil Troutline for, again, getting a big-time recruit in here. All right, let's move along to our three things. It is presented to you by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke. Hesser and Kipke, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipke is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. Okay, the funny thing is I'm not watching the NBA playoffs very much, but I'm certainly keeping track of them. When I wake up in the morning, I'm looking at the Braves score, and then I'm looking at what's going on in the NBA, and then I watch highlights, and I listen to the guys talking heads, and so I kind of know what's going on. I just don't want to stay up and watch it. I got better things to watch. Anyway. The Magic lose to, that was not a big surprise. They've got to have, what's his name? Wagner, is that how you say his name? Yeah, the kid from Michigan. Well, he's not a kid anymore. He's an older guy. But anyway, he's out, and they lose to the Pistons. Of course, the Lakers lose to Houston. Everybody's like, are the Lakers, should they be concerned? I'm like, they're up 3-2. They win one more game, they move along. They are not going very far, I don't think, but they are what they are. Look, playoffs can be interesting, especially fourth quarters of game sevens. But without a dog in the hunt, it's hard for me to get too excited about it. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. I'm just hoping we get to a point where I am get interested in it. All right, let's go to number 2 on our 3 things brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, and that is the Braves win again last night. And if you didn't see it, not Greg Olson, if it was Greg Olson, he's doing radio now. He's out of baseball, of course. Anyway, Olson hits a 2-run homer to win the game, walk it off. They have a huge celebration, and that was fun. Matt Olson, of course, not Greg Olson. They are now 7 games up. Now, I'm going to crow and enjoy this while I can. Look, the Phillies fired their manager. The Mets should, we got managers getting fired left and right now, but the bottom line is the Braves are playing well under Walt Weiss, and I don't know how they're doing it. Their run differential is the best in the league, plus 69, up 7 games. What's going on? I don't know. I'm enjoying it, though, and I did watch the game the other night. Look, they've almost got me convinced to get the baseball network where you can get, not the base. I got the Major League Baseball network, but the network where you can watch all your games. I'm this close. Anyway, let's move along to number 3 on 3 things with Hesser and Kipke, and that is at Florida. Women's golf drew the number 1 seed. They're going to Tallahassee for the regional. That's, it's a nice course over there. But anyway, they'll be playing starting Monday. So that'll be another thing to keep track of. This is, look, we're moving to the end of, the seasons for everything. It's about to be the end of baseball. It's about to be the end of basketball. It's about to be the end of everything. Everything will be all set up, and then you get to July and August. August, you start talking about football again. But July is the one. That's where I'm going to take my vacation. We're going to Denver. How about that? To see the Avett brothers. That'll be pretty cool. We're going to Denver, and then we're going to see the Avett brothers. Well, they're at Red Rock. That'll be nice. I know that Ken Hesser and Jennifer Kipke are probably excited for us because they've been there many times. That is our 3 things brought to you by Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the weekend, or the week, I'm sorry. Brought to you by BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialist. Just give them a call. And when you do, tell them Pat Dooley sent you. You get a discount. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed. Our smart move of the week was the Steelers. And I got to give them credit because I didn't even know it existed. This rare tender that they put on Aaron Rodgers where it's complicated, but basically they're saying, hey, you got to make a decision, man. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do what the Jets did and what we did. You need to make a decision. It's a very complicated situation, and that's all you need to know. I think they're kind of they're saying to him, this is a deal. And are you going to, if you don't want to do it, then fine, we'll move along. And, they're already talking about who might be the backup. But it's a smart move to use that because if they do lose him, they can still match the offer or get compensation for him. It's complicated. I needed to go to law school to be a sports writer. But that is our BMI TeleMed smart move of the week. They're smarter. The Steelers are smarter than we are. So let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the week, brought to you by our friends at Gallo Car Wash, the place where we all go to get our cars cleaned up. Our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the week is Florida softball. Not only did they have that big win on Tuesday night, but they had 3 players named as 3 of the top 25 finalists for Player of the Year. That's the big award. It's the Heisman of softball. And they got 3 of the 25. So, I don't know that any one of them has had a year that will eclipse somebody else because obviously we know what Wells is doing out at Oklahoma and everything, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, it'll be curious to see whether somebody wins. It's really hard to win. I think Hager won it, and I'm trying to think of somebody. I think maybe Kelly Barnhill won it one year. I think so. Anyway. All right, let's move along to our I think we got everything covered except our games of the weekend. So let's get to our games of the weekend, and it's brought to you by our good friends at the Swamp Restaurant. I'm getting a little distracted because the garbage men's come back now. I'm wondering if they had to come back and get all of our leaves. I know nobody cares about this, but we can cut it out, right? So let's get to that. Our games of the weekend brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, the only place to go and watch games on the big TV with all the great drink specials and all the great food. It's just an amazing place to go, and you should go there to watch some of these games. We'll start with baseball. Baseball, 7:30 on Friday. That is on SEC Plus. 7 o'clock on the SEC Network. So you can watch that one on Saturday, the one you have to pick. And then Sunday, it's at 3 o'clock on the Plus as well. Lacrosse, UC Davis, that is in the Big 12 semifinals. It's today. It's on I'll probably watch it on the SEC Plus. It's at 4 o'clock. And then Saturday, if they win, they play for the championship against either Colorado or Arizona State, probably Colorado. And that's at 4 o'clock as well. It's on ESPNU. So give it a look. Give lacrosse a chance. All we are saying is give lacrosse a chance. Softball has a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Everybody's playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday to finish up the season. Florida plays against Georgia. This is a big series for Florida. They play them at 6 o'clock. That's on the Plus. Friday on the Plus as well at 6 o'clock. And then Saturday it's at noon on ESPN. So you got that to watch as well. That's why we give you these Saturday picks. So you can watch all the three things that you're picking, including the Kentucky Derby. And I'll tell you when it starts. 6:57 is when they go. And they're off. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything before that. Just you make a pick, and then you go and you watch it on NBC. So that'll do it for another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. So thankful that you guys stay with me, and so thankful that Zach Rothrock stays with me. Even my computer falls down, as it did earlier today. You didn't even notice, did you? Well, that would be part of a good bloopers reel, though, if we ever have a bloopers reel. But anyway, we'll be back with you on Monday with the HBC. 99% sure he's going to be there. Appreciate all of you. We'll be back then. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here. All right, but I'll be right back.